Hey guys, welcome back to the second session of the Sunday. So far we discussed about database architecture, recovery models of databases, system databases, and user databases. These are the three things we discussed. On real-time issues like Khan asked a couple of good questions. I really appreciate those questions. So those are like in real time, when to configure which recovery model, when to configure which recovery model. That's absolutely good question. I really appreciate that. So even I would like to expect those questions more and more so that I can teach whatever I'm missing. Okay. So recovery models are changing based on RTO and RPO based on the project requirement. Okay. Project requirement, whether you are ready to lose the data or whether you are not ready to lose the data. Based on that, you can configure your recovery models. Okay. Now every recovery model has their own disadvantages and advantages. But also I told you. So when you attend the interview or some other any project meeting, you need to explain all this pin to pin. Okay. Now architecture. When we are discussing about architecture, okay, SQL Server Architecture contains four. One is page architecture. Other one is, let me copy this, database architecture. Database architecture, you people already covered it. The third one is network architecture. Fourth one is detailed SQL architecture. Okay, detailed SQL architecture. Paste it. Paste it. Okay. So now already we covered the third one. Third one is pretty easy for you people. There won't be any much confusions. But even these three also, top three also pretty easy. The fourth one is like above all together. The fourth one is like above all together. Page architecture also I'll teach you. So every data will come and store in pages. That pages will collection of 8 pages is called as extent. That extents will be stored in MDF files. But MDF files will be stored in file groups. But file groups will be stored in databases. The databases will be stored in SQL Server architecture. Sorry, SQL Server instance. Okay. Now detail. Now I'm going to give you the detail about page architecture. This is very important. This whatever I'm going to cover it now. Very important. Okay. But you're not going to
Giri,
implement
you
immediate.
enable the recording?
Yes, I enabled. It's recording.
Okay, sorry. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Just making sense is a good thing. Right? So page architecture is like it is data in database is saved. Okay, in at least one unit. Okay, that one unit is called as page. Okay, the size of the database is 8 KB. Database consisting of data page header, data row information, row offset ID, row offset ID. If you want it, I'll mention it in here itself. Database architecture is called it as collection of data pages. I'll keep it like this. 1 minute, guys. So I'm going to write it here. It's mainly at least one unit. Hey, come on. I enabled caps lock. That is a problem. One unit. Now, at least one page. Page size is 8 KB. Each files is called as extent. You guys know pretty well. Okay. Now, these are all information will be stored in pages. The page data pages consists of page header, page data. Otherwise, I can make it as data so that it is data row. And the final one is row offset ID. These are all the information will be stored in pages. Okay, is it clear? I think you can, if someone is asking you what is a page architecture, you can tell them at least one unit should be in page architecture. That is one page, at least one page. The page is 8 KB size. Page size is okay. Page. Each page size is 8 KB. 8 files is a group of collection of 8 files is called as one extent. Data pages consists of page header, data row, and row offset ID. Guys, you will never see this information. This is architecture level. You cannot able to see anything on it here. Okay, this is just for your information. Now let's talk about. You will get to know more on this detailed SQL architecture. There you will get more. Okay. Now let's talk about database architecture. So you people know very clear information about database architecture. So let me tell you. Now there are, I forgot to tell you one point in above page architecture. How many types of extents? Who will tell me? How many types of extents?
Two types.
Yes. Those are all already I told you guys, you know very well. So normally when coming to the database architecture, it's a logical collection of a data. Data will be stored in two set of files. Data will be stored in two set of files. The files also you guys know very well. What are those? Do you want me to tell? Okay, this is the most important. Now MDF files data will be in pages. LDF files data will be stored in VLF, virtual log file, data file. Okay, data file will be having pages. Okay, log file will be storing data in stored data in VLF. Okay, virtual log files. You want me to write full form? Virtual log files. These are the architectural information, guys. Again, here primary group will be primary or secondary group will be. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on. Okay. Here primary and secondary groups will be. Okay. Group means it's just contents of the files. There is nothing to worry about it. It's a consists of files will be in group. So default, which is the default group in Oracle? Which is the default group in Oracle? In SQL Server default file group is primary. In Oracle, I think that is also seen. Okay. Now this is about database architecture. Database architecture is similar kind of. The database is logical collection of a data. Data stores in two set of files that I already told you. One is data file, another one is logic file. A extent consists of 8 pages. That means 8 KB continuous pages. That is called as extent. Log file stores all modifications that are made against the database, either such as DDL, DML. These kind of operations will be stored in logical file. Okay, that I'll tell you in detail architecture. Now here, every transaction in database architecture. So now imagine this is your go to the home. Okay, this is your log file. Okay, make it as a log file. The name is called as log file. Whenever DDL or DML occurs on application, DML or DDL, both slash DDL. Whenever DDL command or DML command fired against database, first it will come and reside in log file. Once the checkpoint is happened, either checkpoint or log backup fired up, then it will flush the data into data file. That is why log file will be increasing the size. Is it making sense? Either MDF or NDF. So better I can name it as data file. Okay. So data file. File is not different. Okay. You understand? Whenever this application trigger any one command, like either DDL or DML, any one command is fired by application. This is an application. I'll name it as application so that you can easily remember. This is called as an application. So whenever application is triggering any one DML or DDL, it will go to the log file first. irrespective of whether it is a full recovery model or simple recovery, whatever it is. Just imagine if it is a full recovery model, it will store in log file, and then once the checkpoint is fired up, once the log backup is taken, then the data will flush into the MDF and LDF. Here, one lazy buffer writer will be that I'll teach you in detail SQL architecture. Lazy buffer writer, log buffer writer, log manager, that we'll discuss in the fourth one. Fourth one is it will take some time. Now just imagine your recovery model is simple. Now application will trigger any one command, either DML or DDL, whatever it is. Now that log will be stored in log file. After committing, that will release it from the log file. It will flush the data into MDF file. So there is no chance at all increasing the log file size in simple recovery model. Nothing is going to store in log file. That's why log backups are not possible in simple recovery model. Again, I'm going to repeat it. This is very much important. Just imagine in full recovery model, whenever the data is coming from application, it will store in log file. Once the checkpoint is happens, from log file to MDF file, it will store the data. This is simple recovery model. So the data also will be stored in log file. Once if you take the log backup, that will release the free space and it will jump into the MDF file. That is a full recovery model. Now come back to simple recovery model. In simple recovery model, what will happen is whenever application trigger any kind of transactions, whether it is a DDL or DML or something similar kind of operations, first what happens is it will come and hit the log file. It will not store here any data. Directly by using log file, it will go and flush into MDF file. So log file will not be having any data. So what log file will do, it will take the data from application and it will give directly to MDF file. Log file is not going to contain any data. That is why log backups are not possible in simple recovery model. Is it making sense now?
You mean to say log file will be skipped here?
Yeah, log file will be, it should be, but data will move through the log file only. But log file is not going to store any data. It will receive from the application and directly it will give, it's like a mediator, that's it. It will receive the data, it will give back to the data file. In middle, log file is not going to store any data in simple recovery model. It will directly give the data to MDF file. So what are all the disadvantages in simple recovery model? Log backups are not possible. Point in time recovery is not possible. Data syncing also not possible. Log file syncing also not possible. You can sync it, but what is the nothing to sync it? Because every data is going and storing in MDF file, right? Keep it in mind. If it is a full recovery model, everything will come and store in log file. Once the checkpoint is fired, default every 1 minute, SQL Server will fire, database engine service will fire one checkpoint. The checkpoint will flush the data from log file to MDF file. So log file also will be having data to maintain consistency and isolation. Those are all comes under ACID parameters. Is it making sense? If you're not understandable, please let me again. I'll repeat in some other way. Full recovery model, data will be stored in log file. So that is why point in time recovery is possible, and log backup is also possible, and 0% data loss. Because tail log backup only possible in full recovery model. Tail log backup, don't ask me what it is. Later I'll teach you when it is coming from backup section. I hope you guys know what is tail log backup. Oracle guys. Whenever the issue happens for your database, that time we will fire up one tail log backup. Tail log backup will happen whatever the database status is, whether it is restoring mode, whether it is offline, whether it is recovery model, whether it's single recovery model, multiple node, whatever the database size is, tail log backup. Offline, it's not possible. Sorry to tell you that. Offline means you are removing database from SQL Server and you are removing that. It's not possible. Tail log backup is possible in, I need to mention that point here. Where it is? Yeah, here it is. So tail log backup also possible here. Tail log backup, you will get to know clear information when I'm talking about backup section. That is there in my course content curriculum. Okay. But tail log backup is not possible in simple record model. That's we'll teach whether I'm truth or not. We'll check it in. We'll check it in. Where I am. We'll check it in architecture, right? Here it is. Okay. Did you understand what is a SQL Server database architecture, page architecture now? If you understand, then only I'll move to database architecture. Better I can keep this image, right?
What is Giri? What is primary and secondary group?
It is like
Log
default is
groups?
primary. Default is primary. By default, when you're creating database, by default you will get it a primary group. Secondary group is like users, either developers can create one more other group that is called as secondary group. Secondary group is like user defined group. Primary group is like default primary group. For example, if you want to keep some set of application data into one file group, you can keep it. Some set of other applications like enterprise application, some marketing, some sales applications, some HR applications, some admin applications. If you want to keep it in separate groups, you can keep it in SQL Server. Secondary is
Okay,
we
fine.
have to define it and we have to create it. Primary file group is like default group that is called as primary. That is also an inter question. What is the default primary group? Sorry, what is the default file group? That is also one inter question.
No, sorry, still I'm not clear why secondary group is used here. What's the difference between primary and secondary?
That is like application requirement. How can I say it? Like, so some people always use a bike and car both in their hands, right? Why they required another bike means like it's based on the requirement. So, for example, your project manager want to keep some application data into file group, primary file group, some other applications data into some other secondary file group. That's up to their decision. Here, there is an option to implement that, whether you want it, whether you don't want it, based on your requirement. So, why two file groups is like you can segregate some data between two file groups. You can keep like 2004 and 2005, 2006 data. You can keep it in one file group. 2000 from 2010 to till 2020, you can keep it in some other file group. That's all up to you. You want to know there are two file groups are available in SQL Server. But DBA guy never know what is file group. They never don't deal with that. Who is going to create file groups and all? Your developers will create. Who is going to create the tables and who is going to create the databases? The developers will create it. As a DBA, our roles and responsibility to maintain the data servers always available. If any some data loss, we need to recover it. That is what our roles and responsibility. So file groups, why your question is why, right? It's all based on requirement. For example, some applications data I can keep it in primary group. Some applications data I can keep it in secondary group. That is one real-time scenario. Another scenario is 2008 to 2015 data I can keep it in one file group. From 2008 15 to 2020 I can keep it in another file group. That is one scenario. Another scenario is I don't want to create another file group. I can keep it in. I'll keep every data into one file group. That is up to you and your project decision. Here there is no mandatory. Everything is optional. But DBA guide needs to know what are all file groups available.
Okay,
Making sense?
that means I can differentiate to increase the speed of transaction logs.
Yes, absolutely. For example, that's a performance. Again, file groups is like, for example, one file group you will keep it in D drive, another file group files you will keep it in E drive, some other file group you can keep it in another drive. That's all up to our decision to speed up the performance. That is called as disk IOPS, input output per second. If you want to increase, yes, create some file groups, keep it in different disks. It's all up to you and your project decision. Making sense?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So it's like there is no
Giri,
mandatory here. So one thing. Sorry to interrupt you. There is no mandatory here. As a DBA guy, we need to know one of the feature available here. That feature is called as primary and secondary file group. If you want it, use it. If you don't want it, use only primary group. One group is mandatory, that is primary. That is the mandatory. You cannot delete primary group. Guys, entire question is, can you be able to delete primary group?
No.
No, no. System level touch and all, we cannot able to do anything. That is how they developed their product. That is called a SQL Server product. Okay. Secondary primary group, either you can create it, you can rename it. If you don't want, delete it. Everything is possible with you. But primary group, we cannot do anything with that. Whatever they develop, we can use that only. That's it. Okay. Hope it is making clear sense. Now the question, I think Khan was supposed to ask something. Yes, please go ahead, Khan.
Yeah, Giri, how big a data file can grow?
That's all I mean, that's all based on the application. For example, if you have a number of users, all at a time using, oh, you're asking like how much percentage it will increase? Auto growth, you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, is there a limitation that a file can grow 100
Yes,
GB, 200
absolutely.
GB?
Yeah, absolutely. There is, that is auto growth. I think that comes under next section. But anyways, you asked a good question. That is like auto growth settings. So auto growth settings are like, for example, your data file already 1 GB it is already. So 1 GB space is already utilized by the data. Now you want to increase that file. You don't need to go and manually increase it. There is an option called as auto growth settings. Let me open up SMS. I'll show it to you. So auto growth setting, automatically that file, whatever the file it is increase, the next size how much you want to increase. So auto growth settings are two. One is percentage, other one is size. Let me tell you. I think this comes under, okay, this is also part of an database, but anyways, it's a good question, man. So right click on your database, go to the properties. Guys, one thing you need to keep it in mind, SQL Server is intelligent enough, so you can change configurations per each database wise also. Each database wise also you can change configurations. Configurations like max drop settings, like recovery models, database warner, databases backups also. Database level you can perform. But in Oracle, I don't know much about it. I think it's like schema level, I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. My dear friend, can you see it here? Maximize this window. Can you see auto growth settings or max? Can you see this option? Okay. Now click on this file. Can you see enable auto growth? Now auto growth, that file, how much percentage you want? One is a in percentage, other one is a megabytes. First percentage is worst thing. Percentage is the worst thing. It's not advisable. And why? If you ask me, I'll tell you. I want to draw a diagram and I want to tell you. Theoretically, if I tell you, nothing will be keeping in your mouth. Percentage means, just imagine your, now you'll give it in percentage option, you give it 10% here. Just imagine your database size is 1 TB. 1 TB. Guys, now question to you. My database size is 1 TB. Now auto growth I enabled in percentage as 10%. Now what will be the file size it needs to increase?
100 GB.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's 100%. So, sorry, 100 GB. So 100 GB, while increasing 100 GB, Microsoft proved that when the file is increasing, your database will be offline. I mean, it will not change the status. Now your application cannot able to read and write from the particular data file. So 100 GB increasing, just imagine 1 or 2 minutes if it is taking time. During that 1 or 2 minutes time, definitely your application will not functioning. Your database will not functioning. All the transactions will push it into queue. It will comes in the queue model. So once if your file is increased, then only the transactions will get commit in your database. Making sense? That is why in percentage is worst thing. That is one real time. Other real time is you should be having 100 free space in your disk. If you don't have
That
100 free
also
space,
explained.
what is that?
Yeah, I mean that also explained why Oracle is still famous.
Percentage is not famous, definitely. But percentage is famous in one scenario. I'll tell you that later. Only famous in one scenario. Advantage and disadvantage, I'm telling you now. I'm focusing on more and disadvantages. One is till that 100 GB is increasing, your database will not be functioning well. For surely, you can try it in your. One guy proved it to me. It's one of the bet between one of the international speaker and me. It's a big bet. It's happened in 2016 or 15 month end, I believe so. Year end, sorry. 2015 year end. There was one press meet in Microsoft. I attended on one of the. I hope you the guy name you know. He's from United States. Okay, his name is Brent. Okay, you can do his blogs almost more than 5,000. Pinal Dev, he's also international speaker. He's basically from India. Pinal Dev is one of the. I'm the fan for him. If someone is asking me who is your actor, I say Pinal Dev and Brent, who is the masters in SQL Server, experts in SQL Server. You can do their blogs are more than 5,000 plus. They are like SMEs, consultants. They are. They're not going to work for any guy. I don't want to explain them, but anyways, it's just one idea. So now, if you one real time scenario, I told you one is in-person disadvantage. I told you one scenario. Another disadvantage is if you don't have that much free space in your disk, then your database will mark it as offline. Your application cannot perform any transaction because less free space. Disk also will goes into offline. Disk also will be goes into offline because of no free space. That is one disadvantage. Another disadvantage is performance issue. Until during maybe it takes 2 minutes or 3 minutes to increase that file. Until that time, your application will be stopped. Application will keep running. It's a scale up. It will be keep running. It's spinning up and it is up. It's running up, but it cannot from database will not perform any transaction. I told you right in 2015 year and I think so. It's a bet between one of top reputed international speaker and me. They won that bet. I lost me that bet. Okay, that is one thing. Another thing is in megabytes. Megabytes like is how much MB you want. It's in MB. The name is like size in megabytes. Whether you want 500 megabytes or 1 TB. Sorry, 1 GB. So now increasing 100 GB is easy or increasing 1 GB is easy. Which is easy? Which is easy, Con? Which will take time? Which one is going to take much time?
Yeah, of course, that smaller one be easy. Yeah.
Okay, that is one thing. So now in% advantages is it's only one time increase. Maybe for the next 1 week, no need to increase again. 100 GB means maybe 1 week it is more enough, right? Maybe 1 week or monthly based on the transactions, based on the data coming from application. So during next 1 month or 1 week, no need to increase again and again. It's only one time activity. 100 GB until it's filled that 100 GB, only next time it's going to increase. But in megabytes, maybe per day, 2 times or 3 times it may occur. Did you agree to this point? Or it's not making sense? I'll go and draw a diagram and I'll explain it theoretically.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay, right? Now, other is you asked, is there an unlimited or limit? Yes, there is an unlimited. That means how much you want to increase, that much automatically SQL Server increase. Otherwise, you want to limit to that particular percentage. Can you see max file size? Limit to that percentage. After that, it will not increase. It will stop. Database will stop functioning well. Maybe your front-end customers will call you, "Hey Khan Macha, hey Raja, I can't able to insert the data into application. It's showing some error. 420 error or 4010 error, 143 access denied error kind of errors will be triggered in application. That time your DBA need to fire it why it is failing. If you open error log, you can able to see everything in clear pin to pin picture. At the time, again you need to increase the disk or whatever you need to change this. Always best advisable to make it as unlimited. Making sense? Did I answer to your question, my dear friend Khan?
So this was for the database or the backup?
It's a database data file.
Okay. That's fine. So it means like it can grow as much as the space available on the disk, right?
Yes, absolutely fantastic. That is a wonderful answer. Yes, that's you're right.
Mm.
So how much disk space you want? For example, let me open disk. This is my disk. How much free space here? 218 GB free space out of 299. Till this GB, it will grow till here. After that, it will marked as critical, red alert. Red alert. After that, even if you insert some data in application, no use at all, no point in time. It will not work because there is no, it is running out of space. So at that time, as a DBA, whether you will shrink the database or whether you will delete unwanted data in the disk, all you will try your best. Finally, nothing is helping. You'll go and ask infrastructure or Windows team to increase the space for the particular disk. Making
So,
sense?
Giri,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I got my answer. So
Okay.
one concern here, for
Mm-hmm.
example, one data file.
Mm-hmm.
Is this data file MDF file specific to one database or for the entire SQL server?
No, it's specific to one database. Every database will be having MDF files. So this is one user database. This is one user database. Go and click on it. Properties. Go to the files. Can you see? This is one is MDF and log file is default for every database. I forgot to tell you that point.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to tell that point in architecture wise. Good question, man. You are already background from another database, right? That is why you are asking these questions. If you are a fresher, you cannot ask them. I know that pretty well. So here I need to keep it in mind. Every database will be containing two files. Hey, did I mention that? I told you, right? Data file and log file is mandatory for database. Okay, every database. I think I told you that point previously, but anyways, good question. So here, MDF file and log file is mandatory for every database. For every database, MDF and LDF file is mandatory. Secondary files and secondary file groups is all up to your requirement. That's not mandatory. That's all up to your requirement based on application needs. Okay, that and all developer will go and configure. Can I skip the second point? Do you have any database architecture questions, guys? Can I move to the third one, network architecture?
Yes.
So, Giri,
Uh-huh.
the TempDB, right?
Uh-huh.
It
Uh-huh.
should be consisting of some temp data files, right?
Yes, temporary objects.
And yeah, so those are common for all the databases, right?
That's all. The temporary, sorry, not temporary. The TempDB is going to act same as for all the databases. It's never behave good for one database. It's not going to behave bad for another database. System will the TempDB will act as same for and act and behave same for every database. Same behavior.
So, okay, so it means it also takes some resources from the disk, right? The temp
Absolutely.
tables databases.
Memory will consume, and something is
So,
creating and something is automatically deleting, automatically and TempDB.
okay, so how we manage those things? I mean, I I can understand like those are reusable, right? So either it's a memory or storage, but there should be some limit defined, right?
Well, limit is like no, in 2016, when I told you difference between 2014 and 2016, in 2016, one of the advanced feature and one of the beautiful feature is called as 8 files you can increase in TempDB. 8 files. In 2014, you cannot increase it. That is one thing as a DBA you need to keep it in mind.
Mm.
In 2014, you cannot increase 8 files, but in 2016, you can add 8 files default while installing SQL Server. 8 files means
But
automatically that file
the-
will sync with each. I mean, whenever the data is coming from application, automatically TempDB knows which transaction, either secondary file or log file is free, so that it will automatically work based on the thread load is increased. We don't need to do anything. If you want it as a database administrator, 8 files we have to create it. Now, after creating, our database duty is to keep it in either percentage or megabytes. If it is in megabytes, how much you want to increase? 512, that means half GB increasing. based on your disk size. Who knows disk size? Whether you or me, who knows disk size? Your project disk size. You know very well, right? The database DBA guy knows very well whether you want to go with percentage or megabyte size. You need to know. If you go with percentage, what is the disadvantages? If you go with megabytes, what are all the disadvantages? You need to know.
Yeah, but as a DBA, while creating a database or
Uh-huh.
database MSSQL instance,
Uh-huh.
installing it,
Uh-huh.
so it should be like one consideration to decide the size of
Yes, absolutely.
temp. Yeah, so what are the recommended one? I mean, it
Maybe
should be
on an
depending
average,
on the application.
that's absolutely right. You know that very well. It depends on application, but on an average, 100 GB, close to 100 GB, max is 200 GB is more enough. So one file is
Mm.
8 GB. One file you need to, but here mainly what people used to do is, so now I added another file, right? This is TempDB, TempDB file one. Okay, this is secondary file. Okay, again add one more. So this is TempDB. So like that, 8 files you can add it like that, 8 files. Okay. So now initial size always needs to be some 1 GB, 24. Now, okay. Now if you give here, one more thing I would like to tell you. This is E drive, right? Oh, I need to change it to E drive. Okay. Change it to E drive. Sorry, E drive. Where is TempDB? TempDB? Here it is. Okay. Node 1. Again, there is a one node 1. Okay, I think it's not caption. No problem. Again 10 okay, now I changed it, right? Now go and look at the E drive. What is the free space utilized? Now look at the E drive. Let me, it's recording, I'll hide this one floating. So now it's a 273 GB is used. Okay, 273 GB is free. Guys, keep this number in mind. After creating TempDB, it will increase immediately. 273 is a free. Again, I'll ask you a question, how much it was free previously? So like that, you just copy. It's going to utilize this much free space in disk. If you don't have, then you cannot configure it. Now see, MPB 3. Now initial size is 1 TB, or you can configure it 2 TB also, no problem. That's up to you and your project requirement. You can configure it. Okay. Now everything is storing in primary data file group. Primary. Can you see where it is at primary? Can anybody tell me where is that primary file group? Can anybody tell me where is that file group? Can we able to see that screen? Can you see it here? If you have any other file group, you can mention that. పాలు వద్దులేండి, ఫోన్ చేస్తాను, ఇంటికి వెళ్ళిపోతాను. నాకు కూడా మీటింగ్ అయిపోవచ్చింది. ఐఎమ్ గోయింగ్ టు ఎండ్ అప్ ద మీటింగ్. నో ప్రాబ్లం అండి, దట్ ఇస్ మోర్ ఎనఫ్. చాలండి, నాకు ఇక్కడికే చాలు. సో ఎవ్రీ ఫైల్ ఇనిషియల్ ఫైల్ size you are giving some at least minimum 2 to 3 GB. After that, you are assigning in a percentage. How much percentage you want? 512. So whenever, if you mention this, whenever this initial size is completed, filled up with the data, then it's going to increase 512 MB. It is called as auto growth. Then your file size will become as 2.5 GB. Okay, this is the best practice as a database guys needs to do. I hope you're understanding. If not, I'll spend some other time, not now, for the TempDB. This is most important for DBA guys. Okay, if you have any questions also later also you can ask me. That's up to you. Either percentage you can mention, but always keep it in mind, 512 or 1 GB auto growth is best practice. Don't go with percentage. Somewhere it will kill your application performance. I don't suggest to go with the percentage. I don't like it too. Why I told you? Because it will kill the performance. This is the best practice. MB 512. Okay, this is the best practice. Again, log increment will be different, and data file increment will be different. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm teaching here. Okay, always keep log is 1 GB. That's up to you and your team based on that. Okay, click OK. Now look at the free space. After clicking OK, look at the free space. It's a 273 GB is free in my local local E drive. Now click OK. One more files listed in the statement could not be found or could not be initialized. Create file encountered operating system. Access is denied. Oh, access is denied. Oh, here it is. Sorry. I need to change the drive. Sorry. Earlier it is E drive. Now it is goes to the node one. Okay. Now click on it. Again, access is denied. So now always go here, E drive. Here is your computer. This is one issue fixing. Okay. Right click on this TempDB, go to the properties, sharing, not sharing, go to the securities, edit, now add. Okay, add everyone so that it will not fail. Everyone, give the full permissions for that everyone guy. Apply, continue. Okay. Oh, the TempDB is always, this is a problem. Everyone, let's click OK. Click OK. Now just go and configure TempDB and see. See now, I given everyone access. Now let's see whether it will work or not. If it is not works, I need to provide the file names here. NDF, NDF, NDF like that. Sometimes automatically in latest version, you don't need to provide file names here manually. Automatically SQL Server will take them. Those are the advanced versions, the latest versions. But now I think it will not work. Let me see what kind of issue will get. So autogrowth, you understand, right? TempDB, you always need to keep it in separate disk. And autogrowth, you need to enable in such a way. Now, I think in back behind, it is creating file. That is why it is taking that much time. Let me go and double check it. So come here. So previously, what is the free space and now what is the free space? Guys, now my question to you, all three guys. I want to answer from all three guys. Previously, what is the free space and now what is the free space?
Yeah.
Previously, 273 GB is free, but now 269 GB. So if you don't have free space, now see how much time it is taking to create file. Still, it is taking time. That much time your application will not work. So that is why. So I'm proving in percent why you guys don't want to go with in percentage. So now creating just around close to 12 GB. 12 GB itself, how much time it is taking? See, 12 GB itself, this much time it is taking. What about 100 GB? How much time it will take? Do you think your application will work now? Khan, do you think your application will work now?
I'm not sure. I mean, I never work on this technology.
Yeah, it will not work. You just, someone definitely, after learning, I know you will jump out to SQL Server project. That time you'll get to know the life. They'll definitely call you and
Yeah,
they'll complain
but
you. Either
actually, in Oracle, there's nothing like this. Actually, in Oracle, you can add like 2 TB without making any difference to the existing database.
That is one beautiful advantages in Oracle. There is a difference between SQL and Oracle. And again, this is my local configurations. The server disk IOPS also is very slow, and the RAM also is very slow. Again, it's a matter of how much RAM and how much
Yeah, of
network
course.
speed.
Like when you work in an organization, definitely you will have better
Better
infrastructure to
configurations.
support.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So project means, again, this is my server is computer based operating system, but we will never launch our databases. We never deploy our database servers in computer based operating system. We always go with server operating system based. That is code based. Okay. Anyways, let it take some time. I think it's creating it back behind. So now see, 161. It is about to finish. So now around previously 260 GB is free. Now it is came to 261 GB. Now around it consumed 12 GB free space. Whenever the transaction is happening, only during that 12 GB you provided here. Okay, yeah, TempDB is created, guys. TempDB is created. Now you can right click on it and you can go to the properties and you can see the files. See how many files it is there. Now initial size is 2 GB for each file. In this 2 GB transaction is completed, that is fine. You insert some big transaction that is required almost 4 GB data. Then this file size will increase based on your auto growth settings. Making sense? You saw the live also. I fixed two issues in this. One is a security permission issue. Other one is changing the disk default parameter path. That is also I changed. Making sense, guys? I think. Now I answered to your question, I think. Now let's move on to network architecture. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll jump out to network architecture. So normally I'm opening configuration manager, right? Configuration manager. By default, you will get it with executable file. Once if you install SQL Server, by default, you will get it this file. Okay. Now, can you see network clients here? Network client configuration here. Can you see them here? Can you guys able to see here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. So sometimes your SQL Server also will not come online if you disable any one now. If you right click on your TCP IP, if you disable it, your SQL Server will not functioning well. Always make sure. Can you see it's disabled now? Always make sure to enable it now. SQL Server has their own default port. Okay, SQL Server has a default port that is 1433. Keep it in mind. This is most important. If you have number of instances, the different port you need to enable in your network. That your network structure, team structure will do. They'll enable one port and they'll give that port to you. You need to change that port in your SQL Server configuration manager. Default port, enter the question is what is the default port? 1433 is the default port. So first you can see shared memory, other one is TCP IP, other one is named pipes. What is a shared memory? This is enter the question, guys. What are all the network protocols available in SQL Server? That is the inter question. Answer is shared memory, TCP IP, other one is named pipes. Shared memory, what is the name of shared memory? It is used to connect the standalone application where the client is running on the same computer. So my client, SQL Server is client for me that is running in my local machine. Okay, the SQL Server is standalone. It's not a cluster. This is a standalone. I told you what is a cluster and standalone when I'm installing SQL Server. I hope you guys remember. Okay, it is used to connect our local standalone application or client. SQL Server is one client. Next one is TCP IP. I hope you know full form of TCP, transactional some control protocol or something. This is network related. Okay, so now this is mostly common used protocol in SQL Server to connect their services, their SQL Server services, which are enabled for 1433 port number. You can use any user defined port number also, no problem. 1433 is default port number which is providing by Windows and Microsoft. If you wanted to change it any another port, yes, you can change it, no problem. That port needs to be enabled in your domain, your Active Directory. Then only that will work. Okay, who will enable that? Your network team will enable it. Default port number is 1433. You can use any user defined port or default port, whatever you want, you can listen to that. If you have multiple SQL servers, let me fire up one paint. If you have here only I'll draw one small diagram. If you have multiple port numbers, like multiple SQL instances in your Windows machine, one is call it as default instance. Default instance that is called as 1433. Other one is named instance. NI means named instance. You can give it as 1434. Sorry, 1434. Oh, sorry, come on. Whatever you want, you can give it. The secondary named instance 2, you have another. For that, you can define 1435. Now, who will enable these port numbers in your domain? Your network team will enable them. After enabling, then only you can come and utilize them. Guys, is it making sense? Default port number is 1433. This is interview question. Please keep it in mind. For the network named instance 2, you have to define another port number. Hope it is clear. Okay. Now I'll
Yeah,
take.
so this is DBA who is configuring this, right? So
Normally network team actually they will enable and they will give it to you in network level. What you need to do is you need to change it in your database level. That's only your responsibility. Where to change, you can ask me. DBA guy need to change that. In network level, domain level, network guy will enable that port number and he will give it to you. Where you can change it, for which server you can change it. I have three instances in my mission. One is node 1, node 2, secondary server. Now just imagine if you want to change port number for secondary server, just select it here, open configuration manager, expand your SQL Server network configurations, click on which instance you want to do. Okay, go to your TCP IP, right click on it, go to the properties, go to the IP addresses, scroll little down, scroll little down, scroll little down, scroll little down, scroll little down. Can you see the port number? 1433 is the default one. Now you can change it to 1434, whatever. Whether you wanted to change it some other name also, it's up to you. But your network team should be enabled in their Active Directory port number. Then only it will work. Otherwise, it will not work. Otherwise, your application cannot connect to your SQL Server. Please keep it in mind. These are all live practical issues are getting people in outside the market and industry. If you're not understanding, please repeat. Ask me to repeat it. I'll repeat it. No problem. Default is 143. So I told you, right? TCP IP, this is the mean. It is used to connect your services. SQL Server is one service in Windows. Okay. Next, other one is named pipes. This one is named pipes. Even sometimes if we enable shared memory also, it's going to be create a problem. Sometimes you cannot able to connect to it. Okay, hope it is making sense. Other one is named pipes. Named pipes are like developed for LAN, local area network. Okay, it's inefficient for WAN, wide area network. DBA guy not need to know about this, but always need to ensure these are all needs to be run. That's it, only one responsibility. To avoid to avoid logging issues for SQL Server, you need to enable all these three. Who will take care of this in Active Directory? Your network team will take care of it. You don't need to worry about it. They will enable whatever the port you want it. They'll give that port number to you. You can attach that port to any one SQL Server instance. Guys, it is boring, I know. It's a boring class today, I know, because theoretical is more important here. Okay, named instances are mainly developed for LAN. It's inefficient for WAN, wide area network. I know network wise, that is why I'm still focusing. I know Windows level, I know networking level, I know database level, I know architecture, infrastructure level. So that is why I'm teaching here.
Yeah, Giri. So since on the database level, for example, my MSSQL running on one port, suppose the default port 1433.
Yes, absolutely.
And my application was able to connect it from which is sitting on the same data center.
Okay.
If it's not, if there is no firewall in between, right?
Yes.
So, and if I change my port here on the database, and also in the connection string at the application side, is there any change on the network layer for that?
Application level, application side, they will give, that is called as data source. That is call it as data source or application connection string. Either we can call it as application connection string or data source. What they will do is,
So,
they know which SQL server it is. They'll copy the SQL server, comma, port number 1433. It will directly redirect, the connection string will redirect to the particular port number.
yeah, so my question was, is there anything changed on the network side? I suppose not, right?
You need to enable that in your Active Directory and you need to enter this port number there. That's it. Nothing to do. You need to give this port number to your application team also. They will
Yeah, I
enable.
mean,
They will enable.
I already, like, I'm assuming that the port being changed on the application, and I have changed this on the database.
Yes.
So those are consistent.
Yes.
The only thing I was worried, what you were saying, the network thing, there is, from the network side, I can only imagine the firewall. What else? What are the other places where need to change it?
That you already know. I think you told me. One is networking. They will enable and they will give it us. First, it will. Deliver to application team. Application team .NET or Java. They need to change their connection string. That is called either connection string or data source. They need to provide this port number.
That's clear, man. When I'm saying, like, so application is consistent, what is there in the database. My only worried about, like, where in the network side rather than the firewall. If there is no firewall, for example, in Oracle, we don't need anything in between. I mean, if you say network, it's like routers or like the switch.
Switches.
That's all.
Root tables.
What
Gateways.
else? Nothing else, right?
Nothing else. That and all. It's not our duty. That's an all network team. There is nothing else. Only enabling port number, attaching that port, and assign it to the particular Active Directory. That is network team will take care of it. Now that port number they will give it to you, and also while enabling that port, they need to specify for which Windows server. That is also network team will take care of it. So which server they need to enable that port, that they need to know, right?
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah,
that they will know modify it. But rest of these three configurations, one is network team, they will do their work. They'll enable port and they will give it to you. As a database guy, you need to change your port number in configuration manager tool. That is your duty done. Third duty is changing application connection string. Developers will change it. They need to provide this port number. Why they need to provide this port number is to avoid inconsistency connections between each servers. If you provide port number, then obviously it will direct connection to that particular exact server.
Yeah, that arises another question now, actually. For example, we build a new database on like a new instance of MSSQL.
Okay.
And the project team is asking to provide the comms for that.
What is it?
The communication metrics.
No,
the communication metrics. The communication metrics. The comms, the firewall requirement.
Yes.
So in this case, like, what are the ports and which is required from our side, from Azure DBA?
So port number is like port number. If it is like in any project, there will be almost more than some 300 and 400 ports are enabled, because one is for MSSQL, other is for application size, other is for some web server, others are for integration services.
No.
A lot of ports.
So just for
Now
the database,
port
right?
Port is free in our Active Directory. They will create that port and they will give it to you. If port is free, nobody is using, no other applications using the port. They will enable it and they will give it to you. In database side, whatever they give it, we can take it. No, there is no any mandatory kind of thing. Whatever they enable it, they knows what is the free, what is already used, what is already being used. They knows that. They will enable one port number. They will give it to us. As a database administrator, only I need to change the port in configuration manager. That is only my duty. Remaining firewalls, disabling or enabling the proxy settings and all, network team will take care of it. We are not Windows admin, right? Network team will take care of it. As a database perspective, only one thing, we need to change port number. That's it. Even if you want it, when you're connecting SQL Server, you can provide your port like this. This is optional. Can you see my port number in my connection string? Comma space port number. It will connect to that.
I think his question is like to run the SQL Server. Okay. So what all ports we need to enable to establish connection from application server to database server?
Sir, again I'm saying, sir, 1 minute, sir, 1 minute, sir, please, 1 minute. The ports are not free for us. Every application will be having thousands of ports. The ports, whatever is free, will be knowing by network team only. The port is free, they'll enable it and they will give it to us.
Application. No, not about application. Okay, we are just concerned about the database. From the database end, one is 1433. You said default.
That is
one.
default. That is default.
Okay. Apart from default, any other ports we need to open from database end?
No. But there is another default port is there. That port I will only tell you when I'm talking about mirroring. That is 5033. Sorry, 5022. 5022. That is endpoint. That I'll tell you when I'm talking about mirroring. But in database level, that is only default. But other instances.
Okay, Giri. Sorry, I just want one clarity. I
Guys,
hope
I
I'm not
understand your
interrupting
question.
you.
I understand your question. Now you can ask me. I'll draw one day. You just ask. You carry on. You carry on. You carry on.
Okay.
Khan, you carry on.
So we are in one data center. Okay. We are sitting. Our MSSQL is running on one machine.
Okay.
The machine is machine 1. Okay.
Okay.
Now my developer want to access this instance from another machine, which is the machine name is client 1. Okay. He is not able to connect my database. My connection is dropping.
So now two written questions to you. One thing. Okay. You finish. Please go ahead and finish.
Okay. He trying to connect my database. Okay. We check that the ports is running on the default port, which is 1433. We also have provided the machine name. Right. These are the endpoints which he need, right? The database name and the machine name, right? Which is we talk about.
Yes.
He's still not able to connect. Now somebody asked to check on the firewall, right?
Yes.
And the firewall person saying the connection is dropping because there is a firewall in between.
Okay.
Now my question is, what are the ports other than this 1433 required to open this communication?
Okay. This question is not related to database, but anyways, I'll answer to your question. Before that, there are two written questions to you. That guy has access to the particular SQL server, whatever you're talking about, from another machine to remote access. Whatever your friend is developer is trying to connect from another machine, he has login access to SQL server.
No, he's a user. He's a client. I mean, he's not DBA.
Okay, he's user, whatever. He has access or not?
No, he's not.
Without access, how can he connect now? It's very simple, making sense, right?
He's connecting from the client machine.
Okay, at least from wherever you want. Even if he's connecting from client machine also, the client machine should be having access to your SQL server box, right? Without access, it's not a public, right? Without access, how he will connect? How he can able to connect?
So that access, that's what we are discussing.
That is written
here,
question.
Right?
That is one question. One more written question I have, because this also interview questions will be. You need to ask written questions. Without asking written questions, you cannot say the answer. Okay. Another written question. Both remote and so firewalls. When firewalls are blocking, do you know when firewalls will block? Do you know why? If both servers are in same domain, firewalls will never drop. If both servers are in different domain, absolutely firewalls, because different firewall lift and shift. That's not mandatory. But why firewalls blocking is, you need to know.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously your client, if your client is in different domain, obviously one domain fire proxy and firewall settings are different than other domain, right? That may be one kind of issue, right?
Company have their own physical structure. I mean, they would have different data center and different LAN and different
I'm not saying
network
no.
layers.
I'm not saying no. Absolutely right. Because every guy has their own, infrastructure setups. But my question is, you ask me one question. To answer that, I need to ask these certain questions. Without this, I cannot give you the exact figure. If you don't have access, then absolutely, database is not a public. It's a private always. Database is not, it's like WWE. It's not a WWE to access every day. It's a private access. If you have login access to that, definitely he can connect to database. That is one answer. Another answer is, if firewalls, you are saying that some firewalls is blocked. You told me that firewalls is blocked. If you want to know, if you want to work as a network engineer, first you need to know why firewalls are blocking. Whether it is in the same domain, whether VPC, virtual private cloud, is enabling that particular range of IP addresses to allow connection for your SQL server. Maybe his IP address is different, but I given some set of range of IP addresses. Only that range of IP addresses can able to access my server. Out of that ranges of IP address, nobody can access my SQL server. It's highly secure. If you know network wise, you will understand what is this particular range of IP addresses to whom we need to provide range of. This is a source IP address. If you don't know about networking, then you will get something ununderstandable. So now, before that, I would like to tell you one more thing, guys. This TCP/IP database wise, only you have to do only one thing. You need to go and change IP, the port number different. That's it. That is only your duty. But if you want to know about remaining, yes, we need to start some other like Windows and networking. Database perspective, only one thing, that is database configuration manager. Even in Oracle also, nobody will, if you are Oracle DBA, nobody will ask you to go and create one new port and enable in network level. Is there any guy who will ask you like that? If you know it, definitely you can do it. That's an added advantage for you. If you don't know, then you need to take some other support or some other. Again, you should be having domain level admin permissions. Okay, domain level permissions. Standard user is different. Guys, here two things you need to keep it in mind. Domain level admin is different. Server level admin is different. Server level admin means we are, you and me, who is a database engineers, database admins. But domain level admins are different. They can create one new server, they can give it to us. They can give any new IP addresses, they can give it to us. They can create any new port numbers and they can give it to us. So blocking of the ranges. It's a block of ranges. Subnet ID, mask ID, IP addresses. These are all comes under network related concerns. Guys, is it at least did you got some basic answer or still confused? Your question is not related to database. That is for surely. In database perspective, as a DBA guy, only you need to do the network team guy is giving ones on what is it called as port number. You need to go and enable. That's your duty and responsibility. Okay, in one Windows mission, you have three servers. One is first one is database server 1. For this, you can enable 1433. This is the default. For other server port number, your network will give any one port number. For example, your network team is given one XXSY, some 9 number port number they given to you. Now you can copy it.
Sorry, I think Khan has lost the connectivity.
Okay, no problem.
Not maybe
Okay, no problem. Yeah, let him. So now see, in one Windows server, I have 3 database servers. First one is DB server 1, DB server 2, DB server 3. So now first one is default. Either one should be default. That is 1433. I already enabled. So now other, which port, you don't know which port is default available in your Active Directory.
Sorry guys, I got disconnected.
Yeah. Raja told me just now. Raja told me he lost the connectivity. So now
Okay,
other
I don't
port.
know what's been covered in between.
There is nothing. So here, like in Windows server, I have database server 1, database server 2, database server 3. So now in database server 1, I enabled one port, that is 1433. The remaining servers, I don't know which port network team will give it to me because I don't know which is free in their Active Directory. Based on the data
That's
control,
fine.
they will give one port number, they will give it to me. I just, as a DBA guy, what I need to do, that port number I need to enable only for this server. That is my roles and responsibility. Remaining and all, it's not my duty. Remaining it's not my duty. But if you want to know, if you are good in networking, if you are good in Windows, we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Giri, so this communication between the client need two-way communication or one way is enough?
It should be always two communication, right? So for example, now one requirement came to you. You are the DBA guy. So one requirement came to you. Client does not connect. Client will never talk with Windows team. They always talk with you or your manager. So they given one requirement to your manager. That requirement is, hey Khan, hey Raja, or hey Rajesh, I want you to install one SQL Server. That's the only requirement they given to you. So SQL Server, to install SQL Server, what are all the prerequisites? You need one Windows Server, you need one RAM, you need one port number, you need some hard disk, right? These are all the prerequisites. You will create one template. You will distribute. You will give the template to your Windows or network or infrastructure team. They will enable one port number. They will give some RAM. They will give one server. They will give the server details to you. Finally, what database guy need to do? He need to install SQL Server. That's it. So what is the RAM? What is the cost of RAM? What is the cost of hard disk? That and all, it's not our duty. That and all will be taken care by different team. Making sense? Which port is free in their Active Directory, only they'll give that port to you. Again, that port will not be utilized to some other server. The consistency and all maintained by network team. They have their own rules and regulations. They'll follow the rules and regulations in their Active Directory process. Making sense, guys? Sorry? I think some echo. Guys, can you, is it making sense? Did you understand? Raja?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay. So now your questions almost we spent half an hour time on an average. Now you understand, right, what DBA guy responsibility is? Firewalls, networking, IP port ranges. That's not our responsibility. That is all Windows team, separate Windows team will be. So if you are working as some other role and responsibility, then you need to work everything. Other roles and responsibilities like if you migrate to cloud, maybe they give all kind of work to you. That is called a solution architect. That is, I think that every one guy can take care of it in cloud. Okay, that we'll discuss later on. Guys, I hope you understand this is the port ranges. Now, again, I required 1 more hour for this kind of detailed SQL Server architecture. If you want it, I'll finish it a little short. Already we are almost close to 4 hours. I think 9 o'clock we started. Okay, again, I'll finish quick fast, maybe some 20-30 minutes. You're okay. Guys, are you there?
Yeah, we are here. I mean, Giri, it's up to you.
Yes.
If you're
Okay,
feeling
okay.
good, it's okay. Otherwise, we can do it next time.
Okay, okay. I'll finish it because this module entire we will finish it, and again we don't need to come back and search it here. And this is detailed.
Yeah.
Okay. What we discussed so far, I'll draw a diagram in a simple way so that theoretically I done it. Now practical. Okay. It's pretty easy. Like on what basis client will trigger command. Those are all things we will discuss. What is a plan catchy? What is a data catchy? What is a buffer pool? Maybe some 20 minutes I will try to finish it. Okay. So here, this is called as an application, SQL Server application. Either you can call it as, just a minute. Okay, I think some setting problem here. If I'm in Bangalore, it's pretty easy for me because there, my own infrastructure is super. Wi-Fi is there and some pad is there. One reading chair pad is there. It's very comfortable for me. If I'm in outside of Bangalore, it's very difficult. Okay, this I'll call it as. Just a minute, guys. Just a minute, guys. I'm changing my location. So yesterday we missed class, right? So today we'll cover that. So that is why more than 3 hours. But you understanding, right? At least what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Girish.
Okay, that's fine. That is what I'm expecting. Okay. So now I'm going to keep it here. So this is called it as either old or whatever it is. This is called it as. Let me check it is recording. Okay. Guys, Zoom is not free. So I hope you know that, right? This is called as SNI. SNI shortcut. So full form, I'll make it as SQL Server. This is diagram. Here you will understand very clearly. SQL Server Network Interface. Okay. Guys, these are all, we're not going to enable anywhere. This is how the data transferring from application. Okay, this is network. Now here again you will be having one protocol, that is SNI. So here I'll draw as in one SNI. Okay, this is called it as SNI. It's a protocol layer. SNI. This one I'll name it as protocol layer. Protocol layer. Okay. Honestly, I'm saying to explain one SQL Server architecture, minimum required is 20 hours. Minimum. But in training, nobody will give in depth. That is for surely you guys know pretty well. Even these are nothing to know, but if you know, that is advantage. That's it. So from SNI, from application, data will be transferred to protocol layer in the way of TDS. TDS. What is TDS? Tabular data streaming. How the data going in and coming is by using TDS mode. Okay. TDS is like, it's a one way of data transferring between your application to protocol layer. So this one I will name it as light color. Okay, in TDS. So now let me go and draw another diagram that is called as, this is relationship database engine. This is called as relationship database engine. Okay, this is most important. So I can drag and drop here. Okay, this is relationship database engine. So first one is query parser. What query parser is, guys? What is going to do? I hope you know. I told you. This is a query parser. Otherwise, we can call it as command parser also. Command means CMD. I'll write it as shortcut. Command parser. What parser is going to do? It's going to check syntax and semantical error. So it will check and it will give the data back to your optimizer. Optimizer will come here. Optimizer will come here. So optimizer, what it's going to do, I'll tell you. Optimizer. Rajesh, are you there?
Yeah, yes, Girish.
Okay, super. I thought you were sleeping in the bed.
No. I'm ready.
No, right? Just kidding. Okay. Other one is it's a query executor. Even the same process in Oracle also, but your process might be different. Even query executor is there in Oracle, query parser is there in Oracle, optimizer is there in Oracle. I hope you know what is optimizer in Oracle. Oracle guys need to open that mouth. This is relational engine, database engine. We can call it as either relational engine or database engine, up to us, whatever we will call it as. This is called as relationship database engine. This is called as protocol. This is called as SQL network interface. Now, from application, the data will come to protocol layer by using TDS. From TDS, let me, from here, from SNI, the data will move to query parser. Okay. This is query parser. Now here, this one we will call it as language event. Here the data is moving from SNI to CMD is called as language event. Okay. So language event, if you are selecting, this is similar kind of JVM, Java Virtual Machine. I hope you guys are from BTech background. Correct me if I'm wrong. So BTech is like Bachelor of Engineering, either BE or BTech. You know what is JVM, I think. JVM is like translating mission level coding into user level coding. That is a JVM conversion tool. Here also language event is going to convert your application, that is user defined, user understandable language, either English or Latin English, whatever it is, China English or whatever it is. So English, it will convert into mission level coding. That is a binary format. Who will take care of it? Your language event will take care of it. From language event, again from the CD parser is checked, that is syntax is passed, everything is correct. Again, it will convert into optimizer. optimizer. Okay. So what is this name? This name is called it as query tree. This one is called it as query tree. Okay, this query to what it going to do, once the syntax check is everything is completed by command parser. Now it will give that command to optimizer by using query tree. Query tree responsibility is what is going to give the data, that's that command, T-SQL command from query parser to optimizer. Guys, is it making sense? At least are you understanding what I'm trying to say? This is command parser and this is query executor and this one is optimizer. Okay, so now what optimizer do in Oracle? Can you guys tell me?
Optimizer, as the name specify, it optimize the, depending on the need of the SQL, it tells the fastest way to execute any SQL.
Yes, you're right. So optimizer, based on the query cost, based on the resources, it will create one best plan, one easiest plan, one efficient plan. Okay, so query this optimizer based on the resource consumption, based on the memory cost, that we can call it as query cost. Query cost means it's not a price. Query cost means resource utilization. Okay, please keep it in mind. Query cost means it's not a rupees price. It is mainly resource consumption. To keep it in mind, by default SQL Server will create one execution plan, that is query plan. This one is called it as query plan. Okay, the optimizer will create one plan, that is query plan. Always okay, it will create number of plans, but here one guy is there. Do you know this guy? His name is query executor. Just a minute. Okay, okay, this is a query plan. This executor, what it will do, it will take all the plans from optimizer. Optimizer will create number of plans, but this query executor, what they will do, based on whichever is easy, so it will select one another. So one another plan, again I'll tell you here, I'll draw one more diagram here. Guys, I think the diagram, it's pretty easy for you to understand. Is there any confusion? Okay, from here it will give the data back to access modes. Here one guy will be, his name is called as access modes. Okay, here the query executor will choose one good execution plan and it will give the data back to access modes, access methods. I can call it as access methods. Your name is called it as access methods. So these access methods, it will convert the data to transaction log manager. Transaction log manager will be sitting here. This is transaction manager. Sorry, manager spelling is wrong, I think. Okay, this is transaction manager. So this access mode, it will take the query from query executor, and again this access method will give the data back to your transaction manager. Okay, these are all, you don't need to do anything. By default it is developed in such a way. We're just understanding what is the architecture of your SQL Server. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with some other color. This is a transaction manager. Now this transaction manager will get the data from your transaction log file. This is different. This one I'll draw it as an image. Okay, this is your transaction log file. So every database, I told you, every database will be having MDF file and NDF file. This is a log file. This is the log file. Log file. Is it clear, guys? This is a log file. Is it making sense? This is the log file. These transactions will again will be going data, will be going on storing the data into log file. Log file. Now this log file again will give the data back to your transaction manager. Oh, sorry, not the one. Sorry. So again, your transaction file will give the data back to transaction manager. Now transaction manager is going to give the data back to your access method. Okay. Now this data will goes to buffer manager. There is one more person is called it as buffer manager here. This guy name is called as buffer manager. Bold color. Okay, I'll go and put this. This guy name is called as buffer manager. Again, I'm going to draw it as a buffer manager. Okay. This guy name is called as buffer manager. Now, so this access method again it will give the data back and right forward. This is like round robin method, guys. This is like round robin. If someone is calling us what is SQL Server round robin, you need to explain this round robin. It is one in and out both. It is in and out both. Okay. Okay. One is in, other one is out. So let me put it this one. Okay. Now here some other thing is called as here. Okay. This one I'll name it as black. Whatever it is. Okay. Now this transaction log file, how the data reading and writing, you will understand. Now if someone asking what is buffer manager, so buffer manager will create one plan catchy. Buffer manager will create one plan catchy. Here it will be. So this is called as one plan catchy. Even in Oracle also same, but their view is different. This is called as plan catchy. Here we do call it as something where it is gone. I'm sorry. Oh, here again we will be having 3 folders in this plan catchy. One is plan catchy and dirty pages. So normally I teach SQL Server architecture at end of my training, not now, end of my training, so that you will understand what is dirty pages in middle going on. But if people are asking, that is why I'm telling here. But anyway, somewhere I need to cover it, right? Plan catchy. Okay. Now the other one is dirty pages, or this one will call it as data catchy or dirty pages. You can call it either both. Here it is called it as dirty pages will store in this particular catchy, or we can also call it as data catchy. Okay. Now the third one is buffer pool. It will be storing in buffer pool. Where this data will be storing in buffer pool. Okay, buffer pool. Now, whenever, guys, one more thing I would like to tell you here. Now open any one command, either insert or update or whatever it is. I think not connected. Yeah, it's connected. Now, just fire up the same command. Select star from sys databases, whatever the command is. If you are executing by default, so I executed one command, right? So now this command will go from SNS to SNI. Sorry, this application layer 2. This one also I'll draw one diagram. Just a minute. Okay. Now red mark. No, not red mark. Blue mark. Yellow icon. Okay. Now this is called as SNI. So now from SNI, it will deliver to the protocol layer by using TDS, tabular data stream. So from protocol layer, the query will go to CMD parser. First it will check the parser. Now parser, it will convert into the query tree to the optimizer. Optimizer will take that query and it will create execution plans, number of execution plans it will create, and it will give the data back to the query executor. Query executor it will take and it will choose which is the best efficient plan, which is the least cost optimization plan. The query executor again it will give back to the access methods. Now access method it will give the data back, the query back to transaction manager. Transaction manager will go and store the data into the log file. Again it will give back to the transaction manager. Transaction manager again it will keep it under the buffer manager. What is a buffer manager? That plan will store in buffer pool. That plan will be storing in buffer pool. So whenever you are executing this command again and again, so again it's not going to create new plan. Whatever it is existing plan for the same command, it will utilize that. It will utilize that. Guys, I hope you understand, right? So for what I told you. Done.
And
So once one transaction, if you execute multiple times, every time it's not going to create a new plan. So that plan will be stored in buffer cache, the buffer pool. That plan directly, the data will read from that particular plan. Okay, Raja, did you understand?
Yeah, Giri.
Is there any confusions? But
No, that's
understanding,
okay.
that's okay, right? So why developers are creating store procedures, do you know? Whenever the store procedures keep on executing, it will create one plan cache and it will store in buffer pool. That whenever the same query again it's repeating, again nobody will create new plan. SQL Server is not going to create a new plan. The data will read and write from that buffer pool only. Okay, now finally the data will give back to your application. Finally data will move to data file. Let me draw this. If it is possible, I'll make it. I'm not sure. Yes. So this is no. This is like I'll keep it in some other color. Okay, because now finally it will keep it in data file. The data file will be available here. This is called as data file. Data file, you guys know, right? I don't know about Oracle architecture. It is also similar kind of only. Whenever SQL, when Oracle command is fired up against the application, then in back behind these things will happen. Guys, where it will happen, all these things, whatever I explained now, this will happen in back behind of your SQL server. Did you understand? Excuse me. So this is back behind. This is a data file. So now buffer manager will keep the data here. But I think it's making sense. So now again, I'll explain one more time. This is the buffer pool I explained here. Let me draw. This is a plan cache. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll keep this wording down so that you will remember. This is what plan cache. Okay, we put it a little up. So now this is called as buffer manager. Okay, this is called as buffer manager. Guys, did you understand this one? What I told you right now? Is there any confusions? If any confusions, please let me know. Again, I'll repeat it. This is called it as detailed SQL Server architecture. Now this is our application. This is our application. Let me draw it. Okay, this is your application. I'll draw as some small name is called as application. So in application, some inserted anyone like in Facebook, you uploaded some photo or video, whatever it is, that is called as application. In application, any one guy, when you're depositing some amount to your bank also, this is the way happens in back behind. This is how SQL Server architecture is defined. So now first, I'll take one paint yellow diagram. I'll draw and I'll remove that point later. So now, first the data will come to SNI, that is the application. From SNI, it will convert to SNI, that is the protocol layer, by using TDS. TDS is a tabular data format. And also here, I would like to specify one more point as OLEDB. OLEDB. This is the drivers. OLEDB drivers are available in, I hope you guys know what is OLEDB. This is some drivers, encrypted drivers, database drivers, okay? From protocol layer, again, it will move to command processor. Command processor, what it is going to do is going to check the syntax and semantical error. If that syntax is correct, it will move to query optimizer. If syntax is not correct, that error message, again, it will go back to application stating that your syntax is not correct. Here itself, the query will return back to application. Syntax is not correct. Now, from command parser, it will go to optimizer. What optimizer it will do is, it will understand all the resource available resource and free available resource, what is utilized resource. Based on that, it will create it is going to create plans. Optimizer will create plans. That plans will deliver to query executor by using query plan. Query executor, what it will do, it will choose which is efficient, which is easy. It will choose one query and it will deliver to access methods. Access methods will move that query plan to transaction manager. Transaction manager will go and keep the data into log file, and log file again it will give back the data to transaction manager. Transaction manager will again give back to access mode. Now access mode will create one plan cache and it will keep it in buffer manager. So now whenever you are executing the same command, again directly it will read the data from plan cache. Guys, did you understand? Same query multiple times if you are executing, same queries multiple times if you are executing, the transaction will come and hit from the plan cache only. Is it making sense? Okay, this is the detailed architecture of SQL Server. Now, this buffer, one more inter question is, how many days your plan caches will be available in buffer pool? How many days? Can you tell me the answer if you know it?
I think it depends upon the size of the memory.
That is one thing. World plan caches will be removed. New plan caches, first come first serve kind of. Whatever the world, based on the size, it will remove. That is one more. That is a fantastic answer. One more answers. Can you tell me? Rajesh or some other guys? If you know, tell me. If you don't know, ask me. I'll explain. Not a problem. Guys, did you understand my question, right? I hope you understand very clearly. Okay. Now, whenever you are rebooting your SQL server, whenever either Windows or SQL, whatever it is, whenever you are rebooting your SQL server, plan cache plans will be removed automatically. By the way, where this plan will be stored? Can anybody tell me?
These are the memory structure, right? So it should be in the memory.
Absolutely all right. It's a memory structure. It stores in memory. SQL Server is one operating system. Windows operating system is different. These plans will be stored in SQL operating system, SQL OS. I think I've written on blog for this. If you search in Google, I think you will get very clear information. I explain very clearly when these plans will be removed. So why store procedures are always good practices? Store procedures, every day it's keep on repeating. Even in Oracle also, every day it is keep on repeating the queries. So store procedure, if it is same, that it's not going to create all this stuff. Okay, I'll draw one thing here. Okay, it's not going to create all this blah 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 again for one query, because it's going to take some consumption. It's going to take again resource. So if you execute store procedures, every day one plan cache will create. That plan cache will be stored in buffer pool. So whenever that store procedure, again it's repeatably executing. It's like occurrence. If the store procedures keep on executing again and again, that the data will read from plan catchy only. So that is why performance will be little faster based on the buffer pool only. Guys, is it making sense? If not making sense, we'll have some other call, either phone call or whatever it is. It's up to you people. Okay. This is what I thought, today it's almost more than 4.5 hours. I don't want to overwhelm your time and your mind.
Yeah, that's fine, Giri. I think uh,
I'm free. I'm free
for
again. If
today
you want it again, that's I know.
it's okay for today. I think
Yeah, this is okay for today
we
because I
can
don't
close
want to.
this and we will ask question regarding this on coming
Yeah,
week. Is it
yeah,
okay?
coming week. Even one good thing is if you keep asking in WhatsApp, others will try to see in the group. That is why we created one group, right? If you ask one
And
question,
if
either
I mean
Rajesh or
if you are ready to take question on WhatsApp, we are more than happy.
absolutely, I really encourage it.
Yeah,
I
and
really
I
encourage it.
also have one recommendation. Like we spend some time drawing these diagrams.
Mhm.
Is it? I mean, it would be a good idea if you have like some slides ready, so
Yes.
it can save some time.
Only so that's absolutely right because for that purpose only for other batches, I created already documents. So why? Because see, these are all for AWS cloud. I created all documents now here. I don't want to spend waste on the time. Can you open it? See, I don't want to. You absolutely appreciate you, my dear Khan. I absolutely appreciate you because we can reduce the time. It's a time consumption.
Yeah, I mean, you are also complaining, right? It's 4 hours, and if you look into the, I mean, output, I don't know, you are happy with that one,
No,
but
I
so it
never
can save
complained it.
some time.
Don't take it in a negative way. I never complained it. I love teaching. It's my passion. Even I was supposed to say is, even if you guys are ready to listen, I will continue again. I never complained. That is not a complaint. I thought you taken it in a negative way, but I love the teaching. I am passionate about the teaching. I will sit if you ask me to enter today. Okay.
No, it's all
Yes,
right. I
absolutely
mean,
right. But I think this is the last paint diagram. Maybe next, I don't think so. There won't be any slides. Next, all practicals only. But minimum 10 to 20 minutes time I'll spend on backups. I'll spend on some, I think that's all, like the remaining, like mirroring, always on, clustering, those are all definitely I'll draw a diagram and I'll keep it ready. The previous
okay,
batches
Giri.
also,
Okay,
the
you
previous
can.
batches also we do have the same images, but if I draw a diagram, that's some people say it as this is good, and some people, like they'll say it in different. You can come up with already prepared site. That's absolutely good thing. There is nothing to worry. I never hesitate, guys. One thing, I never hesitated, like guys are keep on asking questions. I never hesitate like that. I love to hear a lot of questions because that is my passion. That is my promise to you people. Okay,
Okay, Giri.
Rajesh, newly
Yeah, yeah,
joined.
yeah.
Okay, okay, Khan. That's today is the class. Okay, I think even power is gone here. Okay, till now power is there. Guys, now today I cannot upload my videos. These videos, whatever I recorded today, I cannot upload it because I need network speed high. Maybe tomorrow I'll upload once I reach Bangalore. Okay.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Now I love to hear more questions in WhatsApp. The previous guys, you can see my screen, right? Previous guys always ask questions in WhatsApp only. I think that is SQL because I can easily say answers there.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine, Giri. Giri, I got to go. So is it
Mhm.
okay if I close it now?
No problem. That's up to you.
Okay, okay, thank
There
you.
is no. I don't force any guy. It's all up to you people. Okay. Okay, guys. I hope you got the nice, architecture today. SQL Server Architecture is this question.
Thank you, Giri. Okay.
No problem. You can end up the meeting, and even if you guys want to have any questions, I'll stay here. Otherwise, I'll end up the meeting. I'll close and I'll sit
Okay.
by and I'll have break. I mean
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah.
Chicken and mutton is ready in home. Andre Kannada ಅವರು. Where is that Khan and Rajesh?
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Rajesh, do you know Kannada?
No, I know only Telugu.
Oh, Telugu, Tamil. You are staying in Chennai, right?
Yeah, Chennai.
But Chennai, Tamil பேசக்கு வரல. ಏನಪ್ಪ ಏನ பண்றதோ
ఇంకా
ನೀವು
స్టార్ట్
தமிழ்
చేయలే
சென்னையில்
అంతా.
தமிழ் சென்னை நல்லா வரல நல்லா பேசுங்க தமிழ் நல்லா வரலப்பா எப்படி இருக்கங்க? சாப்பிட்டியா ஆச்சா?
ఇంకా అంత రాదు గిరీష్ నాకు.
எப்படி சாப்பிட்டியா ஆச்சா?
యా సాప్టియా
ம்.
సాప్టియా సాప్టియా
నల్ల ఇరుక సాప్టి ಚೀಪಾ నేను తెలుగులో ಅಯ್యండి ಕನ್ನಡ ಅವರು ಇನ್ನೊಂದವರು ಅವ್ರ ಹೆಸರೇನು ರಾಜ ಅವರು ಕನ್ನಡ ಅವರು ಕನ್ನಡ ಗೊತ್ತು,
మీరు 8
ತಮಿಳ್
ఇయర్స్
ಗೊತ್ತು.
రాజా, మీరు 8 ఇయర్స్ ఉన్నారు.
Okay guys, see you then.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, Siri. Yeah,
No
we'll
problem.
connect next week. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
Rajesh
take
and
care.
Raja, Khan is already out. Okay.
యా
Okay guys, to you,
Yeah,
take
bye,
care. And
Girish.
one more thing, there are a lot of blogs in Google, so try to refresh with your own, like what is SQL Server Architecture. Only don't depend on my teaching. Maybe I'm not sure whether I'm correct or wrong. Okay, there are a lot of enhancements available, enhancement features are available in latest versions. Try to practice whenever you get a time. I don't want you to spend every day 1 hour. If you spend some time on Google or some other, that is the value for your amount. I'm teaching in all the 90% of the things are ready, but some other 10% I may forget it to tell you, right? I may forget it to tell you that you may get it in some other articles or blogs. Okay guys, Rajesh,
Fine.
Raja ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ರು ಅವರು?
ಯಾ
ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. Okay.
ಓಕೆನಾ? ಆಯ್ತಾ ಊಟ? ಏನಾಯ್ತು? ಎಷ್ಟಾಯ್ತು ಟೈಮ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸ್ಟ್ರೇಲಿಯಾ?
It's 7 p.m. actually.
Oh, you want to go out with your family?
Yeah, I have some other work. Okay.
Okay, so next week onwards, what we will do is it's a specific time, 9 to 12 only. Okay, evening you can spend time with your families.
Yeah.
Okay, that is how we'll stick
9.
to.
Okay.
But one thing I would like to
as much as we can,
Yeah.
observe. No, we'll
we will
cover
see.
that one.
That's
Okay.
absolutely right. That's
No,
absolutely
not
right.
to limit on the time. Yeah, because
login is only 9. Maybe sometimes 5 to 10 minutes we have to adjust that. Okay. Maybe
no problem.
9, 5,
Yeah.
9, 10. But keep posted in
Yeah.
group. Keep posted in group if you are getting
Done. Okay.
So the
Okay.
others no need to call you, others no need to keep waiting, right? So that we'll understand you are getting some delay, we will wait for that.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay guys, then
Fine,
take care.
yeah. Yeah. Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay Rajesh, see you then.
యా బాయ్.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.